Hi everyone, Mrs. Webb here, and we are going to do reading together today. So today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. Our central question this week that we've been discussing is, what do you see in the sky? So let's start by going over our vocab words. Our first vocab word is recognize. To recognize is to know you have seen something before. So let's use this word in a sentence. I recognize the new teacher because I met him last week. All right, and our next word, distance. Distance is how far one object is from another object. Let's use it in a sentence. The distance between my home and the school is 1 mile. All right, our next word, imagination. Imagination is your ability to form pictures or ideas in your mind. An example of this word in a sentence. In my imagination, I'm an astronaut going to the moon. Precipitation. Precipitation is rain, snow, sleet, or hail that falls to the ground. This spring we had a large amount of precipitation. Our next word is space. Space is the huge area beyond the sky where all the stars and planets are. The moon is in space. Challenge. A challenge can be something that calls for hard work and a lot of effort. Playing the violin is a real challenge. And our last vocab word, surface. The surface of something is the very top layer. The surface of the playground is bumpy. So those are our vocab words for this week. So yesterday you should have read Bringing Down the Moon. So we're going to reread this book again today. Bringing Down the Moon. Uh-oh. Hot diggity, exclaimed Mole as he burrowed out of the ground one night. Whatever's that? The moon was hanging in the sky above him like a bright silver coin. Mole thought that it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Whatever it is, I must have it, Mole said to himself. I know, I'll jump up and pull it down. Thump, thump, thumpity bump. Mole was so busy jumping, he didn't think about the noise he was making. He woke up Rabbit in her burrow. Mole, said Rabbit, what on earth do you think you are doing? Hello, Rabbit, said Mole. I'm trying to pull down that shiny thing. You mean the moon? Asked Rabbit. So that's what it's called, said Mole. You'll never do that, said Rabbit. It's not as close as it looks. But Mole would not give up. I know, he thought. I'll get a stick and poke it down. He found a long stick and poked up at the moon. Swish, swish, swishity, swish. Mole was so busy poking that he tripped over a hedgehog in his bed of leaves. Mole, grunted Hedgehog, what are you up to? Hello, Hedgehog, said Mole. I'm trying to poke down the moon. You'll never do that, said Hedgehog. It's not as close as it looks. But Mole would not give up. I know, he thought. I'll throw something at it and knock it down. He found some acorns and threw them at the moon. Plink, plink, plinkety, plink. Ouch, said Squirrel. Mole, have you gone nuts? Hello, Squirrel, said Mole. I'm trying to knock down the moon. You'll never do that, said Squirrel. It's not as close as it looks. But Mole wanted the moon so badly he would not give up. I know, he thought. I'll climb a tree and carry it down. Mole had never climbed a tree before. It was hard work, and he was scared to be so far from the ground. But he kept going until he saw the moon resting in the leaves above him. Mole stretched out his paws, but just when he thought he had the moon, he slipped. Oh, eek! Ouch! Ooh! Mole tumbled down and landed splash in the middle of a puddle. And there he is in his puddle. Hot diggity drat, thought Mole. I almost had it that time. Then he noticed something floating in the puddle beside him. It was pale and wrinkled, but Mole recognized it at once. "The moon," whispered Mole. "It must have fallen down with me." He reached out to pick up the moon, but as soon as he touched it, it broke into pieces and vanished. Mole sat in the puddle and cried. Rabbit, Hedgehog, and Squirrel came running up. "Are you all right, Mole?" asked Rabbit. "I'm all right," sobbed Mole. "But the moon isn't. I pulled it down, and then I broke it, and it was so beautiful, and now I'll never see it again." Do you think that's true? Do you think he'll never see the moon again? I don't know. "Oh, Mole," said Rabbit. "You couldn't have pulled down the moon, and you couldn't have broken it," said Hedgehog. "And you'll certainly see it again," said Squirrel. "Look!" High up in the sky above them, the moon was coming out from behind a cloud. "Oh," whispered Mole, "and it's just as beautiful as ever." Mole, Rabbit, Hedgehog, and Squirrel stood and stared up at the moon together. "It is beautiful," said Rabbit. "Very beautiful," said Hedgehog. "Very beautiful indeed," said Squirrel. "Yes," said Mole, "but it's not as close as it looks." The end. Okay, so let's kind of talk about that story. So the name of our book is Bringing Down the Moon. So today we're going to talk about problem and solution and how we get there. So what was Mole's problem in this situation? I want you to think about that for a minute. Do you think that you know? Okay. Mole's problem is that he wanted to bring down the moon. So Mole wanted to bring down the moon. So let's think, what did he do to try to solve his problem? I want you to think for just one moment. Okay, so the very first thing that Mole did is he jumped. He thought he could jump up and knock the moon down. So he jumped. Okay. What else did he do? He used a stick. And lastly, he threw acorns. So those were the things that he did whenever he was trying to solve his problem. Now, let's think about this. Was Mole able to get the moon? Was he able to bring it down? No, he wasn't. So maybe our solution isn't necessarily that he brought down the moon, because we know that that didn't happen. So what was the solution here? Okay, do you think that you know? Okay, our solution here is that Mole decided to enjoy the moon from afar. Mole decided to enjoy the moon from afar. Okay. So now we have read our book, we've done our problem, steps to solution, and solution chart. So now I want you all to have a chance to respond to this book, okay? So our question today that I want you to write your answer on a sheet of paper and submit it in Dojo. The question is, what does Mole realize at the end of the story? So if you want, you can rewind this video a little bit and go back and look at that problem and solution chart to help you out. But whenever you answer your question, it's very important that you restate the question in your answer. So you need to say, Mole realizes that, and complete that sentence. Remember, anytime that you write a sentence, it always starts with a capital letter, and you always need to have punctuation at the end. I hope that you guys have a great day, and I cannot wait to see your all's responses. Bye!